And Deej, we referenced this earlier, kind of our final talking point today. And I think you guys can see why we want to rely on viewer questions, because there's only so much you can kind of talk about these signings again. Obviously, we had kind of talked about like, oh, well, if this happens, what if? So, but Darnell Nurse, it's not 100% official. Cap Friendly, actually, no, Cap Friendly has it now, so it is 100% official. Darnell Nurse has signed an 8-year extension at $9.25 million per. Now, he was already making $5 million a season. The extension kicks in next year, just like Seth Jones's new deal with Chicago. So basically, all of Koskinen's $4 million will transfer over to Darnell Nurse starting next year. Deej, the Oilers' defense for 2022-23, so next season, not this upcoming one, but next season, you are looking at Darnell Nurse making over $9 million, Duncan Keith at $5.5 million, Tyson Barrie at $4.5 million, Clefbaum, we don't know if he'll play, but $4.1 million, and Cody Ceci at $3.25 million. Is that the defense you want to be paying that much money to?
No, but it's fine because they have Devin Shore. Like his ability at forward. Like, I don't know what people talk to Ken Holland about, but my God, do I have some ideas to pitch him. This guy's just writing checks for anything.
We talked about it a lot last week in terms of our Western Conference breakdown. And again, if you guys missed it, we also broke down the Eastern Conference signings up to that point. The Oilers are in a bad spot. Like the concept of whether or not Ken Holland is cooked as a GM, the concept, the thought, call it what you will. I don't have any more confidence here. And yes, the idea of did the Seth Jones contract in a way screw things up? I mean, I think it did. Does Zach Werenski get 9.5 if Seth Jones doesn't get the $9 million he did? I don't think so. Does Darnell Nurse get over $9 million if Seth Jones doesn't get $9 million? I don't think so. You know, Cale Makar might have been pushing closer to $9 million, but out of everybody we mentioned, it's Cale Makar. He's very much deserving of that. And it's just very interesting that we're seeing a spike in the prices amongst defenders here, seemingly off the back of one contract, because as I look back at some of the other signings that we've had that have been big money signings, I mean, Darnell Nurse got $74 million. Dougie Hamilton, I mean, $63 million in total. Like, Dougie Hamilton got $9 million too. I mean, you can't look at the Miro Heiskanen contract to be the one that screwed. Although Miro Heiskanen getting almost $8.5 million just before the Jones contract kicked in, or the deal was signed in the extension. I mean, maybe it wasn't the Seth Jones. I don't know if Miro Heiskanen necessarily deserved over $8 million. But in terms of like crazy contracts, like Pietrangelo almost got 9 on an extension or on the free agent deal with Vegas, which that's not too crazy, I would say. I'm just trying to see like what sparked this. And maybe it was the Pietrangelo deal, but I'm kind of leaning towards it being more of the Heiskanen deal than anything else that kind of skewed the market here, because looking at some of these big signings over the past few years, I mean, Jeff Petry's making 6. That didn't skew the market. Roman Josi ended up getting 9.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit much. I mean, I guess maybe Justin Falk making 6.5. Thomas Chabot's making 8. Jared Spurgeon 7.5. But like, I'd consider Miro Heiskanen somewhat closer to like what Provorov was when he got his deal, and Provorov only got 6.75, whereas Heiskanen got 8.4. So I don't know what the turning point was. I don't know if you can necessarily say it was the Darnell Nurse contract, but some of those deals, maybe even before Pietrangelo, Josi, not saying he doesn't deserve to be a $9 million defender, especially now by the standard, but it's almost like these kind of seeds were planted in 2019 and 2020, and now all of a sudden, like, here we are. Like, this is the standard now. And it's Excessive? Maybe?
Well, so I also think like Darnell Nurse exists at a crux of two very bizarre trends in the NHL right now, right? Where we have GMs overvaluing number one defensemen that might not necessarily be number one on every single team in the league. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Guys that aren't necessarily top 30 defensemen getting paid like they're franchise definers, but also not to say Darnell Nurse is bad. I would say 25, 26 teams in the league, he's a top pairing defenseman. That said, though, you also get this weird trend of genetics being overly valued in the NHL right now, like sons, brothers, all of that. And so with Darnell Nurse, you can't overlook that his sister Kaya, currently at the 2020 Summer Olympics for the women's basketball. You can't overlook that his cousin Sarah is on the women's national Canadian team. You can't overlook that his dad played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You can't overlook that his uncle was the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. This family just breeds athletes, and somebody showed Ken Holland a PowerPoint. And here we are.
It's as logical of a reason as I think I've heard yet for some of these moves. Ken Holland, though, to that topic again, Darnell Nurse, very good offensive defenseman. That's a lot to bank on him. But Ken Holland has been in the NHL, Deej, since he was 31 years old. He is now 65. On one hand, that experience is great. But on the other, I mean, there's a time where, a job like that, your era has, it's come and gone. And in the 2 years, 2 months, and 30 days, as of today's recording, that Ken Holland has been GM and president of hockey ops at the Edmonton Oilers, have they gotten significantly better?
No, and I think the brevity of Ken Holland's Wikipedia article basically sums up everything, where it's just like Edmonton Oilers. On May 7th, the Edmonton Oilers named Holland general manager. That's it. That's everything he's done for the Oilers that Wikipedia has deemed significant. And I mean, I don't think I can name a good move he's made. He's made a bunch of moves that are average or slightly above average, but he hasn't made a move where I'm like, that guy. Like, at this point, I'm just going to say, like, the Dutch don't want him anymore. We're abandoning Ken Holland.
I mean, I'm looking at this Oilers roster from 2019-20, which would have been Ken Holland's first season with the team. There hasn't been a ton of turnover, And in terms of like how much better they are depth-wise, like, okay, they don't have Andreas Athanasiou, but you have like Puljujärvi, Yamamoto, Fogel, so that offsets, I guess. Like Josh Archibald's still there. You got rid of Ethan Bear. Matt Benning has gone on defense, but it's looking like you're going to be playing Chris Russell, and you also have like Cody Ceci on the team, and then some unproven guys like Evan Bouchard, who's still young. Tyler Benson still kicking around in the organization. Colby Cave was on that roster. RIP there. They don't have Alex Chase on anymore. But again, like you have like, not that he's a center, but along the lines of, again, like a Fogel, a Turris, like, a middle six guy for Alex Chase on, even though I think that was the good year for him. Then you had like your Tyler Ennis's, your Sam Gagne's, Marcus Granlund at forward. But you look at who they have now, and it's like, again, like, okay, you're a bit younger with like Puljujärvi, Yamamoto, but like you still have like Devin Shore, Derek Ryan. Like the offense, if it's gotten better, it's marginally, and they've gotten younger. So you could say that's for the best. Defensively, Bear, Benning, Mike Green, Caleb Jones, Clefbaum, Lagesson, Larson, Manning, Nurse, Persson, Russell. They iced a lot of defenders that year. are they that much better now that it's like, cool, you have Barry and Keith and Cece? Are you that much better than when you had, again, like a healthy Clefbaum, a healthy Adam Larson? Like, you're not. Like, you're not that much better, if at all. And then the goaltending is still the exact same fucking thing of Koskinen and Smith. What exactly has Ken Holland done in the past 2 years? I see lateral moves, if not minute improvements. And in the meantime, Connor McDavid is now 24 years old. You have made the playoffs twice. 3 times, excuse me. And made it out of the first round once. Connor McDavid has 21 playoff games in his career so far. That is tragic. I just don't see... who knows? Again, this isn't a shot at Oilers fans, obviously. I'm sure they share the same concerns, at least the reasonable ones. It's just, I'm frustrated for Oilers fans because, I mean, again, maybe this works. Maybe the Oilers win the Stanley Cup. And a year from now, we're being like, hey, remember how wrong we were? But I look at this roster. I don't see that drastic improvement. And like, what are you doing? And then again, Darnell Nurse, based off of what we're seeing other people being paid, is it an overpayment? Sure. How drastic of an overpayment is it? Tough to say, I guess. But again, like, all you're doing now is taking, like I said, like, Darnell Nurse is making $5.6 million this season. Koskinen counts for 4.5 against the cap. So basically, the vast majority of that Koskinen contract is going to that Darnell Nurse extension, minus $850,000. What are you going to do with that $850,000? And right now, they're still in overage. They're $2 million over the cap. Clefbaum's not on LTIR yet. So, you'll end up having the money to re-sign Yamamoto. But then you don't really have any money to sign anybody. I don't, like, they're not better unless Duncan Keith turns back the clock, unless Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse can figure out how to play defense, and unless Cody Ceci figured out enough in Pittsburgh that he could now manage top 4 minutes instead of sheltered minutes like on the third pair.
Yeah, something tells me they're going to have about $12.5 million to sign players in free cap space next year. After Connor requests a trade. Is there an ultimatum if they fail to make it out of the first round? Because we always talk about Toronto failing to make it out of the first round. If the Oilers fail to make it out of the first round, does Connor McDavid say it's me or Ken Holland? Like, he won't, because he's not that type of guy. But in theory, that's what it would have to be, right? It's like, if you're going to keep Ken Holland, Connor McDavid should absolutely ask for a trade out of there, because it's just not going to happen. I don't know how Ken Holland leaving helps when $6 million is being given to Warren Fogle and Zach Kassian until 24-25. You know what I mean?
The best time to fix that problem was 2 years ago, but the second best time is now.
Or last month when Arizona was just like, give us all your shit.
They actively signed Warren Fogle to that deal, which, again, not that Warren Fogle's a terrible player, but you gave up Ethan Bear to acquire an RFA. So obviously the RFA has all the power when it comes to the negotiations in that deal, because, hey, you're the one that acquired my rights. It's just, I don't get it. And I don't think we're supposed to get it, because it's illogical and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just gonna make me faint. It's so easy. It's like the easiest math problem, and we're watching this guy that never put higher than an .848 save percentage in the NHL absolutely destroy a team. It's like,